Uh, Welcome, everyone. I'm Brother Kwame. The date is 15th of January, 2026, and the time is 1809 Accra time. Welcome once again, and so I'd like to welcome you all of you individually. So welcome, Aziz Omolola. Welcome, Sister Portia. Welcome, Sister Ida. Welcome, Brother Welcome. Winhook. Welcome, Brother Benny. And welcome to myself. Um, Aziz Omolola, I don't know who you are, but I believe it's Omolola is a woman's name. I hope, forgive me if I got it wrong. um, but welcome everyone. I'm also welcoming Kandini Amanu. Sister Alma says she will be late, so she should be here fairly soon. So it's good to see you all. Welcome, all of you. Sister Grace is in the waiting room. So those of you who are co-hosts, do keep an eye on the waiting room so you can admit brothers and sisters as they come in. So why are we here? Well, this is the Constantism Study Group where we read and discuss the philosophy and ideology of Constantism. It is the philosophy and ideology for decolonization with particular reference to the African Revolution. The African Revolution started a long time ago. Some would say it goes back to Jaja of Opobo, even before that, and has continued through our Pan-African brothers and sisters. Sylvester Williams of the West Indies has continued through the support of the Americans, people like W.D. Du Bois, and Jamaicans, Marcus Garvey, etc. And it continued with the work of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who was inspired by Marcus Garvey in terms of his Pan-African perspective, but inspired to go to America to study by the first president of Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Constantism is the philosophy and the ideology that was used to lead the decolonization of the African continent, starting with Ghana in 1957. And currently, we and I think one or two other groups are the only groups that are studying the philosophy and ideology, and we are making it available on YouTube so that the younger people will get to know what it was and how it was that Africans were able to marshal the intellectual energy and perspective to defeat colonialism on the continent. But as you all recall, no sooner had colonialism been defeated did neocolonialism rear its head, and Nkrumah wrote about it in his book Neocolonialism: The Last Stage of Imperialism. But in this class, we deal specifically with the philosophy, which is Constantism, and then on Saturdays we deal with the economics and the politics, which are the neocolonialism, and then Africa Must Unite. So welcome all of you. We share our thoughts freely here. You don't have to agree with everything. Feel free to disagree, but feel also free to be challenged. Yeah. And we normally read, and then when we finish reading, we share our thoughts. It's a safe space, so feel free to share your real thinking. Don't feel that you must hold back. I am the founder of the group and also the overall overseer. And sometimes I chair the meetings. I don't have to chair all the time. So, for instance, today, if Brother Sam, for instance, is ready, he can chair because he's just joined us. Brother Sam is one of our our elders based in South Africa. And Brother Sam, are you able to share for us? If you can, you can unmute yourself and share for us.
No,
And
no, Chair. Can somebody else chair, please?
okay, that's okay. So yeah, so even though I'm the overseer, I don't always have to chair. Others can chair as well. And then what we do is we go around and then we hear everyone thinking. I am the resource person, and I will interject whenever I feel is necessary in order to correct, to guide, and so on and so forth. So thank you all for coming. Um, so let's proceed with the reading. Sister Portia, who we love very much, is one of us who's been with us for a long time. Sister Portia has volunteered to read, and so we shall listen to Sister Portia. Our only condition when you read is that you read very slowly so that we follow your reading. It's not a reading club, so we follow your reading. We can also follow your thinking. So that the idea is that by the time you finish reading, we have made up our minds and then we can share. When we get to you, if you're not ready to share, you can ask us to come back later. That's perfectly okay. We'll come back to you. Sometimes we forget to come back to people who have said they want to speak later. If we do, please forgive us. It is not deliberate. Sometimes it's just that by the time we go around and other people want to interject and speak and so on, then we forget sometimes, or the time runs out because we're only here for 2 hours. So do forgive us if that happens. So let us proceed with the reading. And as I said, Sister Portia has volunteered to read for us. And I'm sure Brother Welcome, if his internet allows, we'll be happy to share. Is that correct, Brother Welcome? Windhoek? Are you able to share for us, Brother Windhoek? Okay, sometimes Brother Windhoek's internet is not the best, so he's not able to share. All right, let's proceed. Sister Portia, please read for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, and thank you for extending healthy love. I always say it's easy to love someone when they have money and titles and people like them. But when they are not liked and when they have no money, that is real love. So thank you.
Oh, you're
All
welcome.
right. In this way, capitalism continues with its characteristic pompous plans for NIGGARDLY reforms, while it coerces one section of a society somehow into making itself available to another section which battens on it. That development which capitalism marks over slavery and feudalism consists as much in the methods by means of which labor is coerced as in the mode of production. And may the person kindly mute. There is an echo. Capitalism is but the gentleman's method of slavery. Indeed, a standard ruse of capitalism today is to intimidate some of the proposals of socialism.
It's imitate, Sister Portia. Imitate.
Thank you, Prof.
It's okay.
Indeed. Oh, Prof, am I reading slowly enough?
Yeah, the slowly is fine. Yeah. That's fine. Please continue.
Thank you, Pro. Indeed, a standard ruse of capitalism today is to imitate some of the proposals of socialism and turn this imitation to its own use. Running with the hare and hunting with the hounds is much more than a pastime to capitalism. It is the hub of a complete strategy. In socialism, we seek an increase in levels of production in order solely that the people by whose exertions production is possible shall raise their standard of living and attain a new consciousness and level of life. Capitalism does this too, but not for the same purpose. Increased productivity under capitalism does indeed lead to a rise in the standard of living, but when the proportion of distribution of value between exploited and exploiter is kept constant, then any increase in levels of production must mean a greater quantity, but nor proportion of value accruing to the exploited. Capitalism thus discovers a new way of seeming to implement reform while really genuinely avoiding it. It creates the welfare state.
Wonderful. Thanks for such a measured and calm reading. And I'm sure everyone listening would be following the thoughts as you read. So we shall now proceed to sharing our thinking. Please note, we are not saying share your opinions. We are not interested in your opinions. Opinions are as many as human beings. And even one person can have more than one opinion. So we are not interested in your opinion. We are interested in your thinking, meaning we are interested in how you are thinking about what you are thinking. So when you are contributing your thinking to the paragraph, we want to hear what your thinking is, because that is what we are interested in. Yeah. And we're not interested in what you feel. It's not about your feelings. Yeah, it's about what you think, if I may stress that again. So let's proceed. Who do I call first? So what we normally do is we go through the lists and we call everyone. There's no particular order, but we try and call people alternatively. That is man and woman in that order. So I've got two hands up who want to start for us, Brother Welcome and Sister Ida. And if it's okay with us, I'll start with the ladies. So with ladies first. Sister Ida, you start first, and then we'll go to Brother Welcome after that. Thank you.
I was just wondering if we could look at a few words.
Which ones do you have in mind? Maybe that's what Brother Welcome also may have wanted to say. Yeah. Which ones you have in mind, please?
Battens. Which battens on it? Is it which
Yeah,
clothes?
yeah. Button is to lock onto something.
Okay.
That's the word.
And the word that Sister Portia spelt out, niggard reforms. Niggardly.
Niggardly, yeah. That word itself is a racist word. Not sure why Nkrumah used that word. But yeah, it's a racist.
So is it referring to Africans as such, or
Yeah,
is it
it, yeah.
some
It
other?
has its roots in nigger, you know.
Mhm.
And Sister Tapua, you want to respond to that? Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Yes. Please come in to the
I've
word
just looked
niggardly. Yeah. Go
it's
on.
an adjective that's described as ungenerous with money, time, etc. Meaning, and then they give an example. He accused the government of being
Closer to your mic.
unbelievable.
Closer to your mic, Sister
All right, I'll start
Tapua.
again. Right. The meaning on the internet that I've done a search on is ungenerous with money, time, etc. Eh, yeah. And they've got the sentence. He accused the government of being unbelievably niggardly
Yes.
in
So
a
the
meager manner. In other words,
yeah.
someone who's measly.
Yes. So what I was suggesting. So Tapua, are you still talking? Sorry. Finish what you were saying. I thought you
Finish,
had
thank
finished.
you. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Please finish what you were saying. Sorry. But
No, it's okay. I just added that it's somebody who focuses on being meager in whatever they're doing. They do the least.
yes. So can you spell the word for us again? That niggardly. Spell it for us. How is it spelled here?
NIGGADLY.
Yeah. Uh, my contention is that it has its roots in racism, because those who are meager, with time are slaves who refuse. They refuse to put in too much time because they are enslaved. So why should they work so hard? So something that will take 1 hour, they take 5 hours because they don't see the point. And then they claim that the slaves or the enslaved are lazy. Why should they work so hard when the benefit doesn't come to them? They are the fruit growers, and yet they are not the fruit eaters. So why would anyone in their right sense, who is enslaved, be prepared to work so hard? Even trade unions under capitalism, when they are on strike, sometimes they don't leave the workplace. They just go on slow motion. They slow down the pace of work. And this is what led to robotics. So they replace them with machines, so that machines, they don't go on strike, unless they've spoiled. Anyway, so the word niggardly, as Sister Tapua has explained, is what it is, where you are meager with time. And I was suggesting that the word niggardly itself has its roots in nigger, which is to do with enslavement. That's what I was suggesting.
Well,
Any other word? Yeah, sorry, Sister Portia, please proceed.
No, I just speaking being born in the United States of America, and it definitely, you're correct once again, Prof. It has racist connotations, and even arguably Googling having that definition, it has a racist implication. Not the person Googling, of course, because Sister Tapua is solid, but the even definition as you just outlined makes it comes from a racist context of enslaved Africans being somehow lazy, which goes to all of those tropes and stereotypes about foundational Black Americans or Black British globally, that we are lazy. And that's why we are not where we are as opposed to Asians, for example. And then a more direct example, which I will leave my brethren and sister in the continent to speak to, is if you go to South Africa and think of the racial slur that was used against South Africans before and during, and arguably even after apartheid.
Sister Ida has a hand up. Sister Ida, please proceed.
I'm just surprised to hear that this Kapar found it in a dictionary. So I'm wondering if it's also. I haven't looked because I'm afraid that I'll miss what has been heard. I'm wondering if it's also in the any of the big dictionaries like Chambers or Oxford Dictionary or whatever.
Yeah,
Because I'm
that's a good question.
found as a word.
Yeah, that's a good question. I have Chambers Dictionary with me. Give me a moment, I will check, and then come back to us. In the meantime, any other word? Anyone? Any other word we want to look at? Or should we proceed with the sharing?
Pompous.
Sorry, pompous. Oh, that is proud, arrogance. Pompous is arrogance. To be arrogant, to be proud. So basically, they proudly. So that you're saying they proudly. That's capitalism. They reform, but their reforms are very miserly, very meager. In other words, they give just enough to make you not fight them. Yeah. So that's what they do. They just give you enough so that you stop shouting. Because you don't. So just give you just enough so you shut up. And then they continue. They continue doing what they do best, which is to steal your value. Yeah. So that's what it means. Yeah. Any other words? If not, then we shall proceed with sharing our thinking. So we should start with Brother Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, brother Kwame, members on the platform. Good evening.
Good evening, brother.
I will not complain, brother Kwame, that you always make me to start.
You can complain all you like. It will change nothing.
Yes, but without wasting time, really, brothers and sisters, I think every time that we come to this session, I really marvel at how we are very fortunate that we had leaders that went through the struggle before us, and they have left us a legacy that we need to really, really hold on to and bequeath it also to those that are coming behind us. And maybe that is why we should continue the struggle until each of us feel we have achieved our true liberation. Kwame Nkrumah continues just like last week, and to me it's like he's adamant that people must understand. People must not be fooled by anything. And in this passage, despite what he told us last week, you can see it's like saying a better word than nice. Some people say the food is good, but people tell you the food is delicious. And this is what he's really doing. He has told us, and the emphasis here is that we must not be fooled by anything that we see that seems like development. We should always be able to identify the cracks. And the cracks is nothing changed. It's an illusion that we are going through these stages from slavery to capitalism. And if we didn't understand the way they used last week, he is coming this week with this passage, with other words that explains exactly what he said in the previous passage. And today, for me, the important thing is he brought out something that says, if you go to the key discussion points, there's something that I like. He used two phrases that I really feel we need to be wary of that. And one of them is where he says, I really want to. He says capitalism is a refined cohesion. And we remember last week he told us about the illusion of progress. And in that you can see that we feel that we are free. We feel that there's development. You know, if you take ourselves in South Africa, when I was growing up, we had no tar roads. We didn't have electricity, and we didn't have proper schools, proper facilities in our schools. And if you look at what has happened up till now, you might feel, oh, even in a township like where I'm living now in Atteridgeville, next to Pretoria, there are tar roads, we are electricity, there's television, there's everything. If you look at all those things, you will say, there's been a great development. But the essence is, has the South African people, especially the African majority, are they free? Are they liberated? Are they are masters of their own destiny? And that is not the case. And I think this is the emphasis that Kwame Nkrumah is trying to bring. He says somewhere, he used the other a phrase like, you are running with the hares and you are hunting with the hounds. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot be pro capitalism and still say you want to go to socialism. There's no fence sitter in this struggle that we are fighting. We need to be clear the difference between capitalism and and socialism, where we are heading to. I think for me, those are the critical aspects that I wanted. You know, if you take in South Africa, the apartheid that people speak about came with something that they call separate development. They said the whites will develop on their side and the Africans will develop on their side. They said, we give you your own freedom as Botswana, we give you your own freedom as the Zulus. You can hold your own government, chieftainship, you can do everything in that. But those were barren lands. We call them barren freedoms because they knew that all the lucrative mines and everything are this side where they are. So you can have that small patch of land that they call a Bantustan or a freedom of the Botswanas, but the whole lucrative treasures of the country were held under them. And even now, unfortunately, when we thought 1994 we are getting freedom, it's still the same illusion of progress. It's still the same situation where we must be able to see through these people. They have removed everybody. They have given us our supposed freedom, but it is not true. Capitalism is still in charge. The monopoly of exploitation is still belongs to the white minority, while the majority of the African people are still in chaotic squalor that you can find in South Africa. Thanks.
Yeah, brother Sam, I'll come back to you with a follow-up question later. Let's hear from Sister Tapua, please. Thank you.
Thank you. What struck me in the first paragraph is the sentence, capitalism is but the gentleman's method of slavery. In other words, those people who are out to exploit others swiftly react to how people are responding. For example, responding to slavery, responding to feudalism, and all they do is shift the goals. For me, this is what has happened to us as a people, as Black people in Africa. Because whilst Kwame Nkrumah wanted Africa to unite for the benefit of everybody, other leadership in there was running with the hare and hunting with the hounds because of the results that we see today.
Sister Tapua, just hold on. Just to let you know, Sister Ama, Aziz, and who else? Your cameras are on. Just to let you know, if it is deliberate, that's okay. But just so you know, your cameras are on. Okay, thank you. Sister Tapua, please continue. Thank you.
Okay.
Even Brother Sam as well.
Yeah, Brother Sam always has his camera on, so that's okay.
And for me, the last sentence in the last paragraph, capitalism thus discovers
Sister Tapua, come back to your mic.
Okay.
Please.
The last sentence, sorry about that. The last sentence, capitalism thus discovers a new way of seeming to implement reform whilst really genuinely avoiding it. It creates the welfare state. In the African context, what we have is, especially when governments start announcing that 50% of any company or over 50% must be owned by Black people, what they're just doing is coercing people to continue with capitalism and trying to fool us so that we think, oh, we now have Black capitalists, so it's okay to be exploited. When in actual fact, it's not. And it kind of lengthens the survival that the capitalist system has. Because some of us, like my brother Sam was saying, become comfortable because we now have this or that, which we didn't have in the past. And we're not looking at the purpose, why the reforms were put in place. For example, with apartheid South Africa, the reforms were put in place because it had become untenable. And therefore, they had to give. Something has to give. You can't continue resisting. You have to compromise and maybe shift goals a bit. This is where the niggardly comes in, just a bit, so that people are quiet. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Tapua, as always. Sister Tapua is one of our teachers, teacher by profession and teacher by practice as well. Before I move to the next person, this will be a man, by the way. I'd like to go back to Sister Ida's question, which is to look into the Chambers Dictionary, and which I did. And according to the Chambers Dictionary, they don't know the origin of the word. So I went further to search elsewhere, and these are what I have found. So I want to share it with us. First of all, it turns out that the word niggard meant stingy or miserly person, and this was around the year 1300. Year the 1300, it had no racial connotation. Okay. Then, as time evolved to around the year 1832, it became a derogatory racial slur. And in American English, as the Sister Portia has testified earlier, it emerged as a shortened, vulgar form of the highly offensive word nigger. Its early use is recorded in minstrel songs like Jim Crow, and it were used to demean and dehumanize Black people. And then, if you come to colonialism, by the late 19th century, the term was also documented as being applied offensively to Indian natives in British colonial settings. So clearly, it is a color thing, because Indians, well, some Indians are Black, as you know. especially the Hindus. So so that is what it's saying, that it has, although it started not as a racist word, it became racist under the Americans and then under colonialism. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's go to the next person to share their thinking, and that is Brother Winhock. Thank you.
Please pass.
Thank you. Let's go to Brother Benny.
My eyes has been on the capitalism is but gentleman's method of slavery. I don't know. It looks as if I've seen this somewhere, whether it's the same book, maybe open on my laptop, because I don't close it. And I mean, it's in Osajifo actually gave us everything that we need.
Sorry, Benny, before you continue, for those of you who don't know, the word Osajifo means redeemer in the Akan language of Ghana. Nkrumah was an Nzima, which is part of the Akan group, Akan ethnic group. So when you hear the word Osajifo, you being used by others like Benny, that's what it means. It means redeemer. Thank you. Brother Benny, please continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brakwame. Yeah, so this picture is what we see today. And for me, it is something I wake up to see daily in South Africa, which it disturbs me. It disturbs me a lot. But what I always say is why we have all these things, but then we are still in the infantry stage, which shouldn't be the case. You see, fortunately for me, during my first year here, I had the opportunity to assist. I was asked to assist a Korean student who couldn't speak English well. So I had to assist her in every work that the person has to do. And it enabled me to read almost entirely the Korean history. But as I compare it to the issue of capitalism and then the slavery, which happened there, and they had to extricate themselves. You see,
Brother Benny.
Yes,
which of the Koreas, North or South?
Excuse me, South Korea, please. South Korea, please.
Yeah, please.
South Korea. Sometimes I forget to distinguish the two. Yeah, yeah. So Koreans have emerged, and for me, what I learned more about them is the fact that their culture played a significant role in whatever we may see in Korea today. But then I look back and say that, especially when I read this book, Conscientism, then as much as the vibration of culture is so strong in Conscientism, but then is that the reality? And if that is the reality, I believe that we should be, we should have gone beyond the level at which we are today by liberating ourselves and also being capable to decolonize a lot of institutions that still remain as colonized and being used to exploit us by our adversaries, or whether we call them enemies or adversaries. It depends on which way you stand. Yeah. Thank you, Brakwame. Prof.
Yeah, thank you. So I think Brother Benny, I think you've raised a very important issue when you point us to the question of culture and the fact that you feel that the cultural overtones in conservatism are very strong. And that is because Nkrumah is conservatism has its roots in African culture. For those of you who know or don't know, Nkrumah himself was a chief. He was an African chief, but he couldn't take up his role as a chief because of his political work. So normally within the African contexts, if you can't take your role as a chief, you can nominate someone to do it for you, and that's what he did. And then Nkrumah was brought up in the village, typical village. Of all the leaders that led the decolonization movement, Nkrumah was one of the few who was born and grew up in a village. And that's why conservatism has its roots in the African context. Conservatism is not a European philosophy and ideology. It has its roots in the African context. And that is why when later on the University of Nigeria held a symposium to look into African philosophy, they revised everything, including even Greek philosophy. They published some work on that. They acknowledged for the first time that some of them who were even philosophers didn't realize that Greek philosophy, so-called Greek philosophy, was actually African philosophy that had been rewritten. So it was very interesting. If you can find that, please find it and read. It's a very interesting finding. So thank you for drawing our attention, Brother Benny, to the question of culture. I think we'll come to that a bit more later when we come to chapter 4, which is the philosophy itself. So thank you very much. We are still reading chapter 3, which is society and ideology. And the question we are answering in this chapter is, what is the relationship between society and ideology? So if that is the case, where does capitalism come in? Capitalism comes in as an instrument of ideology. Ideology comes from a philosophy. So it's a set of tools, if you like. And it has many, many tools. They include education, business, housing, water, building a country. All these are, or nationalism, if you like, these are all instruments of ideology. And capitalism is one of them, because that is how you produce the goods and services that you need as a society. If you are a capitalist economy. So that's what we are reading. So what we are reading actually is capitalism as an instrument of an ideology. Right. Let's now go to Brother Pigeon. Have you always been here, or have you just arrived? Did I miss you? So let's now go to a sister, because we've heard from a brother. Let's go to a sister, and may I call on Sister Amma to share her thinking, please? Thank you.
Brother Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Sister Amma has put it earlier in the chat that she can only listen in.
Okay. Sometimes she does, and then she's able to talk later. So that's why I'm giving her the chance. Thank you. In that case, let's go to Sister Ida, please. Yes, Ida, what do you think? Share your thinking with us, please.
I think that running with the hare and hunting with the hounds is something that is not necessarily specific, but I've only ever seen it in conservatism, and I think that it has an important meaning. But I can't fully. I know we've discussed this before in the past, but what today it brings to mind is the fact that when Britain was trying to get rid of hunting with hounds, hares being killed indiscriminately once the hound has caught them. It reminds me of the fact that at that time you suddenly found out I always thought it was a rich man's sport, and that it was the elite. When I say elite, it was the capitalists and the people of the wealthy who participated in this sport, only to then find out that it wasn't. It was ordinary country people who had horses who would run with the hounds and participate in that sort of sport. It's a blood sport, and you think, oh, why are these people doing this, and what's the importance of this? But to me, it was like, wow, I didn't know that there was such an underground, normal group of people who were participating in it, because it seems to be an elitist sport in that they all dress up in their red jackets and their white ties, or their whites and their ties, and they go hunting. And so it took a long time for it to actually get banished in this country. And for a long time they would run the hounds, and also keeping hounds costs a lot of money. It's only the very rich who could afford to keep the number of hounds. You're talking possibly more than 30 dogs running and chasing a hare down to ground. But it would seem that they did it so that, oh yeah, you could go hunting, but you couldn't chase hares or things to rip apart for sport. But you could chase a scent on, say, a cloth or whatever, and somebody would ride out and the hounds would be chasing. But so to me, I realized that, oh, there are lots of things that the rich do that people want to imitate. And now that that sort of sport is no longer, it seemed to be like, okay, when people stop keeping horses as such, because they're expensive animals in the end, it went to motor cars. And it was their way, it seemed to be their way of keeping track with expensive motor cars, then became the thing. So I think that there's a lot to this running with the hares and hunting with the hounds. But it's also a form of capitalism that, people would seem to think that the way to go is to try and be more and more capitalist and earn a lot more money. So I think, to me, that is one of the big things that stands out in this text. And the fact that capitalism continues, and in a way it encourages people to think that anybody can get to the top and anybody can be rich and behave in a form that looks down at others. That's the only way I can put it. Because if you're prepared to tear an animal to pieces, you must, in a way, look down on that animal. So that's why I say look down on others. So the bit about socialism in here is interesting, in that socialism, in a way, slightly tries to copy capitalism, but it's more for the people and trying to get the people to rise on their own merit, use their own work to help themselves and others around them. At least that's what I get from this. So I think I'll leave it there, because I know there's a lot in this, but those are my thinking. Thank you.
I think I was going to ask you, when you said ordinary people were doing the hunting, I was going to ask you about it, but I think you corrected yourself later by saying that it's wealthy people who have the horses, and it's wealthy people who are able to keep the hounds. So
yeah, But it
So
was
I think
ordinary people who were also following the hunt. If they had a horse, they could
yes,
get on the horse and join the hunt.
yeah, that's what I
They
was going to ask. The horse,
followed the horse.
yeah, that's what I was going to say, that the horse, to have a horse, to breed and keep horses is not a joke. It's not done by ordinary people. It's done by people who have the land, and it is the aristocracy that basically own
But
land
the common person
own
also
horses
had
and stuff.
horses.
Sorry.
Common people also had horses because they had
Eh,
a share in land, or
eh,
farmers and stuff like that also had horses.
I think
It's
yeah,
before.
I think you are thinking of America, but I'm talking about
No,
England. Yeah.
no,
And,
I'm talking about England. I'm not even going to America
the-
because I don't know it enough. But it was the order. It was before there was a lot of automobiles. Automobiles. Listen to me. I'm really going cars and
yeah,
stuff that now ordinary
yeah, but
people have.
what I'm saying is that if you are a serf on a land under feudalism, yeah, you belong to the landowner. Yeah. So whatever horse you have, what horse can you own? The land you are on, it belongs to the landowner. You are just there as a serf, and that's the point I'm making. Sister, my brother Winhog, you have your hand up. Did you want to come respond, Sister Ida, or did you want to share your thinking?
Brother Kwame, can I also come back when you're ready?
Yes, you can. But hold on, brother. Welcome. Did you want to?
Yeah, neither of the two, Brother Kwame.
Or you want to share your thinking?
Not share my thinking.
All right, can you carry on? Thank you. Let's hear you.
Yeah, running with the hare and hunting with the hounds. Is it dialectical, or does the two phrases, if you break them from each other, do they mean the same thing?
Zaida has tried to explain how she was thinking about it. Yeah, I think, yeah. So
still, I can't get it.
Basically, what it's saying is that. So, Brother Welcome, what it's saying is that running with the hare, if you take a global example, is shouting democracy, democracy. We are coming to bring you democracy because you are being oppressed by your dictator, the dictators in your country. Yeah, so we're going to bring you democracy. We are for you, the ordinary people. Yeah, so that is running with the hare. You are pretending to be on the side of the downtrodden. Okay, if you take Iran, for instance, there's a lot of there is a riot. Is it riot? There's a riot going on in Iran, or demonstration, whatever, and it is organized by the CIA. Yeah, but they are pretending it's the ordinary people in Iran that are doing that. Blah 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 blah. And America is saying, "We are with you. You know, we are with you. We are going to deal with Iran." So this is America saying that. Yeah. So that is what we mean by running with the hare. So the hare is hunted by the hounds. And who own the hounds? The hounds are owned by the capitalists, or if you like, they own the aeroplanes, the bombs, whatever you want to put it. So they own all that. And so then they will say, well, they are running. So running with the hare is basically saying that you are with the ordinary people. And then hunting with the hounds is, as a capitalist, you are extracting value from the same people. So you pretend to be on their side, but actually you are the person who is behind all their suffering. So that is essentially what it means. And there's another analogy Nkrumah used, I think, somewhere else, where it says the mouse is biting you, but as the mouse is biting you, it blows cool air on where it's biting. So yeah, we have a few hands up. We'll come back to those with their hands up since you've already spoken. Let's go to who just spoke? This is Ida just spoke. So let's hear the man's voice, and then we come to support. Yes, please carry on. Yes, please.
I just want to say that Queen Sister Tapua in the chat, She made a good analogy as to complement what you were saying.
Yes. Yes, because she's our teacher, so she understands a lot of these things. So aspiring commoners, so I'm reading what Sister Tapo has written. Aspiring commoners, like our leadership, is coerced by the possibility of one day joining the upper class. We have a lot of our people supporting our leaders because one day they hope to move from picking crumbs to sitting at the table. Yeah. So the leaders who pretend they are with you. So they ask you to vote for them, and then once they get your vote, what do? You don't see them to the next election. Anyway, let's go on. Let's hear a man's voice, and then we'll come back to a woman's voice. So let's hear from brother Pigeon. Thank you. Brother Pigeon doesn't appear to be ready, so let's hear from Brother Coco.
We can
hear you now. Please proceed. Share your thinking.
I'm very happy to be coming and listen to this. When there is
you are not very clear, Pigeon. It's a bit muffled.
Okay, let me change the name. Let me see. You can move to the next
much better now. Much better now. Whatever you're doing right, do it. Continue doing that now. It's much better.
Better?
It's much better. So
okay. If you can hear me, let me start by analyzing each of the paragraphs.
Say again?
Let me start by analyzing each of the paragraphs in terms of.
Yes. Please proceed.
I'm interested in which names find the gentleman's methods as labor. Why is it a gentleman? Because the term gentleman has been used. I don't know things in this that men the use of man, use of gender, and that's the problem. No, that's fair. But I don't want to do it in discussion. About the word gentleman.
Yeah, Brother Pigeon, I'm still struggling to hear you. I don't know if it's just me. I'm struggling. Okay. I'm struggling to hear you clearly. See, now I can hear you very clearly. Now I can hear you very clearly.
Can you still hear me very clearly?
Now I can hear you clearly. So whatever it is you are doing now, do exactly that.
Now I was talking of the gentleman's method. And it's a combination of the rituals, history, liberty, branches to the process, because you are preparing gently. But this means that actually we have this condition. There is separate slavery versus colonialism. When you use
But it's difficult, brother, for me.
Let me use my phone. Let me just use my phone. Just use the next person I use my phone.
Pigeon, we are struggling to follow all you are saying. So sort it out, and then I'll come back to you. Let's hear from Brother Coco. Or actually, Brother Coco, you hold on. Let's hear from Sister Portia, who did the reading for us.
Thank you, Prof. And please, I thank you again for your accommodations. You're very kind. I want to go line by line.
I try to be. Thank you for your kind words too.
We do that. I want to, as usual, go line by line what it says.
Yes, please.
And what it says. I want to say after that just a response to one of Prof. Bernie's comments about why we were here. And perhaps I'll start there and just say again, and I know all of us here are knowing this, but even us as Pan-Africanists might forget it, is that the brutal system of capitalism, in terms of just our people, it's estimated, we don't know the exact numbers, in tens of the millions who were trafficked from Africa. So even starting there, where we were cut off from our languages, our culture, our spiritualities, our families, all of that had impact into how we are today. And arguably, it is not enough to say, well, the Asians are doing better. They got over it. Why can't we get over it? It really takes a thorough investigation, and I say this kindly, please, into the brutal system of racial capitalism and targeting a specific group of people to be the ostracized, the dominated. And then I was
Sorry, Sister Portia. Brother
yes,
Benny can come back later to respond to what you are commenting on. But I just want to draw your attention to the fact that although the enslaved kind of suffered a lot in terms of language and its detrimental effect on the historical and philosophical grounding of Africans generally. I want you to bear in mind that even for some of us, like myself, we were denied speaking our languages in school. We were punished.
yes,
We were punished if we
yes,
spoke our mother tongue in school, and
yes,
so a different language, a different history, and different cultural standards were imposed upon us. So
yes, Pro.
so what then happened was that the philosophical resilience that you see amongst educated Africans perhaps is no different from those of our brothers and sisters who were enslaved. So I'm not saying that our sufferings are the same, but in some cases, what you suffered, we, those who are left on the continent, also suffer the same. The second thing also is that capitalism, I suppose I want to say that capitalism is a racist system.
Yes, Prof. This is what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, it's a racist. Yeah, it's a racist system. Yeah, please continue. Thank you.
I was trying to continue, Prof, not to interrupt, because I know you are more widely read than me.
Oh no, it's okay. I just wanted to kind of yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah.
I wanted to communicate again, even to us as Pan-Africans, which you have just said, and I didn't communicate it to you, so let me rephrase it, is that racial capitalism is a brutal system that affected our ancestors, Africa and its diaspora, in terms of our languages being attempted to be destroyed, our culture, our spirituality, and we can obviously see that in the how the Abrahamic religions, pardon the mispronunciation, dominate the continent, and spirituality is shunned and it's associated with witchcraft, for example. So you and I are saying the same points. And this is actually, I'm glad you brought this up, Prof, because that effect of that brutal system of capitalism, racial capitalism, it gets us into a comparison and a contrast ideology, which I would say we have to avoid. And I tend to always say we have to learn our languages. All of you know here probably that I am in a homeless situation. And it pains me each day that I cannot even write how I am experiencing this homelessness. I'm having to use the oppressive language of English to that. And back to your point last week, Prof, is that men and women before this brutal system, we were seen in a high regard, not that we were seen as the same, but not to the extent of me as a Black middle-aged woman speaking like this automatically is termed militant, automatically is termed arrogant or poor or low income. Whereas Indigenous Africans, we know our history, our her story. We are a people who were quite who were quite prideful. And that word humility in the English language has been used to deceive us so much that when you hear someone who is militant or who is speaking it plainly, it comes off as arrogant. Whereas men can do it, but still men are stereotyped or troped in another way. So this system, to my earlier point and why I brought it up, is it is brutal and it targeted us Black people. And to date, why we can't get a grip or get our stuff together is because the system that we may be participating in, knowingly or unknowingly, has designed it. So that doesn't mean we don't have our freedom and we cannot fight. To Queen Sister Tapua's point in the chat, we must, but it cannot be in these system of systems. So I just wanted to say that, and I'll briefly go through what I think, what I hear the professor Francis Kwame Nkrumah saying. Paragraph 1, capitalism has arrogant ambitions, and a section of a society is forced to be ostracized by another section of the society, and it's locked into that those ostracized persons are locked into that forcing. Second sentence, methods by means. So in other words, the development for capitalism is a method by means. How to get the means through forced labor for production. That could be AI, that could be the internet, could be coup d'etats, or it could go to sugar, tea, or coffee. And the third sentence is capitalism is purported as civilized oppression. And then in paragraph 2, there's 7 sentences. The first sentence says capitalism is marketed as decent, and it will utilize its marketed decency to its advantage. 2, the appearance of capitalism. So its full-time job is its appearance, but its illusion of capitalism is what many people buy into, and that is the full-time job of it, that you believe that you can make it if you work hard and you toe the line, or you speak the good English, or you get all of the degrees. And then the third sentence says socialism is looking at levels of production that are for the people, by the people, or by the people, for the people, with the ultimate focus being livelihood and awareness. And then sentence 4 says capitalism has a focus on production too, which is different from socialism. And number 5 goes to Professor Kwame's earlier points that he stated about, the trickster of capitalism, in which he kindly added to my point about the brutal system of capitalism, or people's points. These are, of course, what I have read. And then the illusion of capitalism, which I was saying last week, is that a middle income person who goes to the US and becomes a Fulbright scholar, becomes a MacArthur Fellow, and now has a standard living where they can travel throughout the world, they can attend conferences, they can write papers. This looks like progression. They can even get their children into Ivy League colleges that they themselves have went to. If you look at the continent of Africa, many of the people who have the multiple degrees have either studied at an Ivy League or are going to one, arguably. Yet, when you look into it further, you see that generational wealth, be that zero income Africa and its diaspora, low income, middle income, high income, the generational wealth is not there for us. And for further reference on that, you can look at Dr. Jared Ball You can Google his work on that. And the last 2 points is that capitalism does the bait and switch. It implements reform, it avoids reform. And please, Prof, permit me here, in my opinion, that can be the United Nations in a nutshell. And 7 is self-explanatory. And an easiest example of that is Libya and Venezuela. And of course, we know about the coup that happened, attempted coup that happened at the same time of the arguable invasion into Venezuela in Burkina Faso. Thank you.
So have you shared your thinking, Sister Portia?
Yes, Prof. This is where I ended. Thank you.
Okay, I thought you were just breaking down the paragraphs first. Okay, thank you. Let's now hear from Brother Coco. Thank you. Brother Coco? Yes, Brother Coco, you've unmuted yourself. Yeah, you may speak, please. Thank you. Okay, Coco may not be completely ready. So let's go to Kandini Amanu. Kandini, can you share your thinking, please?
Greetings, able royalties of Africa, both within the continent and both in the diaspora. This is Kandini Amanu from Ghana, and this is my first time joining this class, and it's beautiful, and I'm enjoying myself.
Brother Kandini.
Yes.
We welcome your complimentary words, but we hope you will come back, because a few Ghanaians have come and said, beautiful, we love it, and then we don't see them again.
Well, I am not here to share. I am here to speak straight to the matters, and as we continue on, it's anywhere we are still keep raising the consciousness of the Black people. So it's important we take notice. I'm not here to flatter anyone or anything. So thank you.
It's okay. Yeah. Just please proceed. Thank you.
I first want to say something about the Osajifo as an Akan word. I don't know if there's difference between the warrior of redemption and redeemer. So check it up. Osajifo as an Akan word means the warrior of redemption. I don't know if it's the same as redeemer. So you can check it up, and then we update that with our people. So the actual meaning or translation in English is warrior of redemption. The next is that I have taken notice of the various messages being shared by the noble people of this class, and I take notice with the reading exactly at the very tail end of it, which state clearly, and I think I just have to read it back to us all. That says, it creates the welfare state. If we look at the writings of Osajifo, especially with this conscientism book, we realize that he was establishing an identity of African culture of conscience. In that, if you look at today in Africa, many people do many things, but if we are talking from the perspective of the country Ghana, we see a lot of things being done culturally that are not really a reality of what the real African core of culture is supposed to be. but we seem to be doing things to represent something. Added to this is that the Nkrumah was pointing out to us that in the end, capitalism will always have a reform system, and that reform system is going to be welfare system. The other aspect we could not see from the write-up is how socialism will also be reforming itself in the state. We may know and understand what socialism stands for and what capitalism stands for, but the reality of these ideologies as to the effect of its progression is always important, because there will always be these capitalist people in the system, and there will always be the socialist people in the system, and we need to move beyond that. I am of the class of people that trust that Nkrumah was neither socialist or capitalist, simply because at the very point in time when Osajefo became the leader of Ghana and was uniting the African continent, there was no way anybody who saw the situation could just become uniquely called a particular ideological power. But he was ensuring that he wins the system of the global status to establish Africa and then create a conscience that we don't have as Africa in the global world. If you look at the Eastern countries, like a brother talks about Korea, and that they were transforming themselves because of the intrinsic state of their culture linking up with their development or their advancement. Nkrumah was helping Africa to equally establish this cultural identity so that we could use that to transform our continent and our people. But time was not given him. So we are still in a situation because they foresaw that if he should be allowed, then definitely, like he was pointing to us, that capitalism is always going to reform itself as a tool through welfarism. Then how would socialism also reform itself to be able to advance even better than the system of capitalism? Probably we have not given ourselves the chance to dive deeper into how the reality, like I said, all the ideologies boils down to the reality of the lives of the people. We can describe what socialism will call for. We can describe what capitalism will call for. But at the end of the day, the reality of the ideology must be felt in the life of the people, because the people decisions are going to always propel our continent or our people. So in a way, Nkrumah clearly, from what we have read today, was pointing to us that every time how capitalism will be controlling the people, will be making the people to feel safer with capitalism, is the fact that it is they care for the people, and that is why they keep using finding the welfare system that meets current conditions, so that the people will say, yeah, that is it, yeah, that is that, and then they keep moving towards capitalism. So for me, Kandini Amanu, my thought and my sharing on this matter is for the fact that the reality is what is important at this material moment, because at the end of the day, we know that capitalism will always be looking at welfare system to keep itself, or to make the people yearn for it, and then to also strive for it. And what then we socialism be presenting to the people, so we can see a transformation of our continent through such ideology. Thank you very much.
Kandini, it's interesting you say all that. Then in that case, you should be able to tell us how socialism would itself, the kind of state it would create, etc., etc., etc. The other thing is that I think you need to come and do a presentation for us on a Saturday, because that is when we look at these broader issues in terms of the unification of Africa. What economic system should we use? Should a united Africa embrace capitalism or socialism or both or whatever? So I think it would be nice if you came and did a presentation for us. I noticed you said that Nkrumah was neither capitalist nor socialist, which is very interesting. I wrote a paper many years ago titled, you can still find it on Ghana Web, by the way, with that very title, Beyond Capitalism and Socialism. And I argued something similar, that Nkrumah went beyond that. So it's interesting. I'm hearing you make the argument I was making many years ago. And I was attacked by some Nkrumaists for saying that, because some of them believe that Nkrumah was a Marxist, full stop. So he couldn't go beyond socialism. So it's interesting you said that. So yeah, so it'd be nice if you can put your contact in the chat so that we can link up and invite you to come and speak on a Saturday. Is that okay? Kandini?
Well, I will do my best, Prof.
That's okay. That's okay. But I think you've hit the nail on the head by when you said Nkrumah was neither capitalist nor socialist. Because for those who have looked at the history of Ghana when it became independent, that initially the CPP opened Ghana to the capitalists. They come and invest in Ghana, and they didn't come. So Nkrumah then turned east, and then they got upset. So it's very interesting you say that. But I think you make a very good point, and I want us to develop that further. That's basically what I'm saying. So thank you for your thoughts on the paragraph that we've read. And let's now hear from, I think we've heard all the women speak, or the ladies speak. Sister Ida had her hand up, Sister Tapua. So maybe we can hear a lady's voice, and then we'll go to a gentleman next. Sister Ida, you wanted to come back earlier.
Yes, I did, in that I felt that if you're going all the way back to the serfs, it's maybe 100 or 150 years before when I'm talking about. I'm only talking about 30 years ago when they suddenly started.
Right. Okay.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, proceed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only talking about maybe 30 years ago when they started banning fox hunting.
Okay.
And so at that time, there were a lot of people, a lot of farmers who owned their own horses or were holding other people's horses on their land. And it's recent. I'm not talking of things in the past.
Yes,
so I can only link it with now there are not so many people who want horses or who own horses, but most people own cars. And I can only link it with the aspiration of people in their cars now. So that's what
that's fine. That's fine. Your point is well made. Thank you very much for the clarification. Sister Tapua, maybe you should also at this point come in and then we'll go to the brothers who haven't spoken yet. You wanted to clarify something, Sister Tapua?
Just my thinking, because I'm thinking, if we are learning that for every move that we make in trying to change our position, the capitalist system mimics, tries to give an impression of, and kind of gets us thinking it's going to happen. We just need to be aware and prepared for the small steps and the small changes that they're going to make. So I was thinking, at Ghana's independence, what Nkrumah was suggesting was a big jump to get all the other African countries behind him, and they wouldn't allow that. It would have killed the capitalist system. So they kind of came up with other plans and groups and organizations and some kind of interference. And unfortunately, like we know, he didn't have the time or the space. He was taken out of that position. And I'm coming back to the arguments that I've heard done, expressed on Mandela, and the fact that people think he sold out. And I'm thinking, people who say that are saying that from a position of ignorance because they fail to appreciate how the system works. Mandela was, in a way, proposing something that was radical for the times. And the number of years that he spent in prison, almost to the end of his life, made him realize that he's got to accept a concession, not to where he wanted us, or he wanted to take us, but to where he could take us. And then it was the role of the people that got into government with a majority who are now in a position to try and make further concessions so that they continue moving the goalposts. But they didn't. They're lying in bed with the opposition, and it has become untenable. So I'm thinking, where do we stand as Pan-Africanists? We're trying to propose a radical thing, according to them.
So
And
Satapua, so what I'm thinking is that you, Brother Benny and Brother Sam, should take a Saturday and talk about South Africa for us. That's what I'm thinking. Because the points you raise, go to these issues that we discuss on Saturdays. So we welcome you three to come and share with us your thinking on South Africa. Because it'll be interesting to see what you all see, because you are looking at South Africa from Zimbabwe, Benny from Ghana, and Sam from within South Africa. It'll be interesting to hear their perspectives. So anyway, thank you very much. Let's hear from Brother Coco. By the way, Satabu, I'll come back to you again if you have more to say, just so you know. Brother Coco, are you able to speak? Brother Coco, I noticed Pigeon hasn't come back. I think his system is not letting him. Okay, let's go to General. General. Anunnaki. Are you able to speak and share your thinking with us? What do the Anunnaki think about capitalism? Share that with us. Thank you. Okay, General is also not really ready. Let's go to Omolola. Aziz, what do you think? Okay, Aziz, Omolola, are you ready to speak? I can't move on if you can't. Okay, not speaking either. So let's go back to Sister Portia has a hand up. Let's hear from Sister Portia. Sister Portia, you had something to say?
Thank you, Brother Kwame. As always, Queen Sister Tapua, she strikes my thinking, and this is not just blowing, air in y'all heads. It's really one of the reasons why I like CSG. You get to think and you get to be challenged on what you're thinking. Practically in Africa, the continent now, there are United States military bases from throughout Africa. So there is a military presence on the continent of Africa. And when we look at a number of our leaders who are in positions of political power, they have been trained in, for example, Canada or the United States or England or France. So I bring up this point because a prof challenged me earlier to see if I was communicating what I thought I was saying and how it was being received. And what I was trying to say is that whether we are Africans who were born on the continent or whether we are in the diaspora, and we can trace, like myself, I'm foundational Black America, so I trace my lineage to the freedmen, and then before them, those who were enslaved in the United States of America, or anywhere throughout the world. We are affected by this racial capitalist system. Prof has said that over and over. All of us are aware of that on this call. Then the practical is what I started with, which is the military presence of the United States of America government throughout Africa. And it's not just military. It's in agriculture. It's in education. It's in politics. Right now, the Uganda is having, his voting will have concluded today. And there are two candidates that people are mostly talking about on YouTube or Facebook. That is, of course, Mr. Bobby Wine and Mr. Yoweri Museveni. So whoever gets elected or becomes the president, like, for example, in Cameroon, that happened with Mr. Issa Chirome Bakari and Mr. Paul Biya, they are still working within the context of that said system that is oppressing us. So breaking free from that system is going to be far from easy, because one of the comments that Mr. Bobby Wine said this week was that if, and I'm paraphrasing, if, the elections go awry, he will call to the U.S. for support. But the U.S., he, again paraphrasing, cannot dictate to Ugandans how they run their country. And how many times have we said that as Africa and its diaspora, and practically how that has been done? So it is far from being easy, not trying to discourage us and not saying it's not feasible, but practically this racial capitalist system has infiltrated through many sectors of our lives. And even the most conscious of us, the most well-read of us, is still impacted by such a system. This was the earlier point I was trying to say.
Well said, Sister Portia. Thank you. I think let's go back to those who haven't spoken again, see if they can speak. And if not, then we'll come back to those who have spoken so they can speak further. So let's start with Brother Coco again. Brother Coco, are you able to speak? Please check the chat for me, co-hosts, if they have said anything in the chat. Okay, General said he's driving, so he can't speak. So thank you for that, General. Who else? Kandini, thank you for your contact. We'll contact you. Thank you very much. Then I'm just checking the chats again to see who else has given us a message. Yeah, so okay, but yeah, so Coco hasn't said anything.
Can you hear me?
But, we can hear you. It's lovely to hear your voice, my brother. Always lovely to hear your voice.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, apologies. I'm in transit, so commuting. That's why it's been a struggle for me to get through.
Right. Okay.
I would like to start with the idiom. The idiom, because in the last class, he referenced an idiom. An idiom is in a language, it's more or less the same thing, but using colorful language. And in this case, he said, to run with the hares and hunt with the hounds. And I think that has been explained, but allow me to add a bit more context to it. To do that is to support two opposing sides at the same time, hoping just to benefit from both, okay, without committing fully to either. And in this case, we are talking about capitalism. Capitalism is transforming itself in a way just to stay in the running. Is borrowing lots and lots from socialism just to stay relevant. And you remember from the previous reading or last week, we heard about psychological irritants. We also heard about reform instead of revolution. And these are some of the manners in which capitalism reforms just to stay in the running. It stays in the running so that it can benefit a minority of people who have capital at the expense of a majority of people who do not have capital but have labor. Hence, their labor is exploited. So again, we talked about gentlemen as way of slavery. In this case, we are talking about it's a subtle slavery, because under capitalism, people are forced to work. You're forced to work by unemployment, by poverty, by all of these things. But at the same time, it's a force. You are forced. Capitalism looks nice on the outside, but really it's the same system. It's the same slavery or feudalism dressed in a nicer suit in this case. But you're not getting anything at the end of the day. And he made an example here of when a production was increased. When production increases, at the end of the day, if the labor is getting 30% of that and capital is getting 70%, what's happening? It means the gap keeps widening. The gap keeps widening. And I was watching one interesting video today of one of our own black men using data, saying he's using data to prove that as Africans or black states, we haven't done anything. But it's for some of these reasons why Africa is staying behind. It's for education, it's for everything. So what you will realize is that capital is investing a lot just to stay ahead of any system that challenges it. And we know that, we saw that under the Cold War, and we continue to see it today. As Caesar Portia and all the other speakers have spoken, capitalism continues on the self-preservation journey. Let me stop there.
But wouldn't you say that capitalism, as it was in, say, the 19th century, has transformed itself through the very reform we are talking about? That is not the same. And by virtue of its reformation, it has changed itself so that it's not what it used to be. So, for example, the welfare state itself was not there to start with. It came later. Yeah? Brother Coco?
I agree with you, and that is self-preservation again.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's then
let me just explain before
go on.
It's a way of managing inequality and to appear humane, all right, and to also look like it's a tool to it avoids structural change, in short. Because if it doesn't change, then a revolution is certainly to come. And when the revolution comes, it means it will change the whole system. So what they want to do is to continue the principle, the underlying principle. That's why they reform slowly, small things. They borrow from socialism just to make people think that they are looking after the people. That's why he talks about the welfare state here. It creates that welfare state because it reforms itself while preserving its core logic. Let me just say that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And if we push it further, then I think we should all understand that capitalism will not last forever. No economic system lasts forever. They can reform all they like to get to a point where you can't reform anymore. Capitalism likes to pretend that it's an eternal system that is based on human nature, and that it is based on some kind of innate competition of human beings, and that's a natural system that will always be here, and so on, which is all lies, of course. So are we all clear on the principle, the vital principle of capitalism, which Brother Kuku has drawn our attention to? And the vital principle of capitalism is exploitation. But if we go further down from exploitation, the vital principle that goes along with exploitation is the ownership of the means of production, which is that a few people own everything, or the majority of everything, and the rest of us own nothing. So if you take the country I'm in, called England, the land is owned by a small minority. The vast majority of us do not own any land. We are just workers, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so the time is 10 minutes to 8. Sister Amma, I've read your message that you can't speak. Pigeon is coming back. Hopefully, he's able to speak clearly. So, brothers and sisters, we've come towards the end of today's session. I'm just reading what others have said again. Okay, I will wish to learn and know more on the practical direction of the class. It depends on what my practical. Our practical work is our class. That is the practical direction of the class. If you mean, I don't know what you mean by practical, Brother Candini, what do you mean by practical? Let's address that now whilst you're here. What do you mean by practical direction of the class? It's like saying to a university, what is your practical direction as a university? What do you mean by practical, Brother Candini? Brother Pigeon, welcome back. Get ready to make the announcements. Brother Candini? Oh, is he still here?
Hello, brother.
Yeah. What do you mean by the practical direction of the class?
Yeah, for instance,
what do you mean? Go on.
For instance, you made a very important point about like saying to a university your practical direction. And a critical example is when the University of Ghana was set up in Ghana here. The idea was to use the entire setup of the university, the community, and how it was going to be planned in terms of the system that will run the university effectively, to be rolled out in a country, the entire country, as a type in terms of infrastructure, road building, and the education system, and to affect the larger majority of the people. So this being my first time joining this wonderful class, I want to know where the class is heading towards in the end in terms of affecting the lives of the ordinary people out there. Because like we are saying, if you look at the capitalist sister Tapua, is that the name? Am I getting it right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, she has just written something about why the capitalists always need ordinary people to express themselves, which is reality. They always need the ordinary people. So if this class we are joining, and we have an ideology that stands and that is for the people, what is the end point that we are going to see practically? So that's what I meant by that. Thank you.
Okay, now thank you for the question. So this class, the purpose of the class is to make available the philosophy and ideology of consensusism, which is the inherited philosophy and ideology that was used by our parents to fight for the independence, to start off with the Gold Coast, it became Ghana, and then to lead the decolonization movement. So Constantism as a book is, if you like, a compendium of the philosophical position that Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah took in order to liberate Ghana and to lead the decolonization movement. The decolonization movement then liberated the colonial territories. But as you are aware, the colonial territories, once they became post-colonial, then morphed into neo-colonial states. And currently, the whole continent of Africa is under neo-colonialism. So our argument, Brother Kandini, is that the philosophical and ideological perspective required for us as Africans to liberate Africa from under neo-colonialism will require 3 books that Nkrumah wrote. The first one is Constantism, which is a philosophy. The second one is Africa Must Unite, which is about unification. And the third one is, he's dropping out. And the third one is Neo-Colonialism, the Last Stage of Imperialism, which has roots in Lenin and roots in Karl Marx. So in short, what we are doing is to make available the philosophical and ideological perspective required for the transformation of Africa with respect to the liberation, unification, and development of Africa. Our strategic goal is the liberation, the total liberation, unification, development of Africa. So I hope that answers your question. We ourselves, Brother Kandini has dropped out. We ourselves, some of us are members of political parties or presidential candidates, like Brother Pigeon. And so we encourage brothers and sisters to take the philosophy and ideology back to where they are coming from and then to utilize it. But the class remains solely to share this thinking and to make it available via YouTube for everyone, so that people know that we have our own indigenous philosophy that we can use to liberate, unite, and develop ourselves. I hope that answered Brother. Thank you, Brother Sam. I hope that answered Brother Kandini's question, but unfortunately he's dropped out. So he will probably hear it when he comes back or listens to our YouTube channel. I have got his contact, which he left for us. So the time is now 4 minutes left. We've got 4 minutes left. We've got 2 hands up. There are two beautiful sisters, one of whom I have never seen, one of whom I have seen, but I believe they are all 2 people. So let's give them both 1 minute each, and then we'll ask Brother Pigeon to make the announcements, and then we'll bring the meeting to a close. So let's ask Sister Portia first, and then Sister Tapo after that. So 1 minute each, sisters.
Thank you, Prof. I want to go back. I keep bringing up this homeless situation I am, because when I heard you say practically right now, I do not have money to buy soap. There have been people in the movement who kindly gave me soap, or who kindly let me sleep on a sofa. But I cannot take care of myself because of my choices in a capitalist system, which I own. But still, if we weren't in that capitalist system, I wouldn't have had to pay rent, or I wouldn't have had to look out for food. Now I'm in a situation for the past 4 years where I am asking people, can you please help me with this? Which in a capitalist system appears as a beggar. It appears as I haven't got my shit together. Excuse the profanity. So when I say the system is brutal, is that if you are not a success, if you are not in the appearance of helping your people, you are further ostracized. And already Black people, we are ostracized. Thank you.
Yeah, you make a very, very good point. And because of time, we will come to some of the issues you raise much later, maybe in another session. But thank you very much for sharing with us. And also link up with us. I know you already have. And let's see how, as a group, we can support one another. Yeah. You shouldn't be suffering alone. Let's all suffer together. Right. Let's hear Satapua, please.
Thank you. I wanted to say how we turn what we learn here into practice, because what has happened is, because of the fact that we're focused on discussing this book, we've had other days added where we discuss practical things that we could do. So, for example, the Monday reading on defeating dictators actually helps us to realize our own situations and see what has happened in the past, learn from what's happening in the present, and then anticipate the things that we could do if circumstances availed themselves. So that's really practical. It's making us aware of our environment and the situations that we live in. The other one is the Saturday group, because in the Saturday group, like you were saying, we focus on exactly what's happening on the ground in certain circumstances. So we're using our philosophical understanding gained from the Thursday meeting into discussing general situations about the different countries that we're in, and maybe from there generating ideas of what we could do. In the last meeting, was it the Monday meeting? We were talking about the practical things that we could do, and we ended up with Brother Coco sharing with us how, because we've got a lot of information on Africa or on Pan-Africanism that comes up that we need to spread around our networks. And we concluded that if anyone is sharing something on their status, especially to do with Pan-Africanism, they can make it open so that some of us who are not IT literate can just copy that and spread it. So that's another way that we're hoping we're going to take advantage of the social media platforms, where if we get something interesting, we share it, and then we enable each one of us to copy and share it as wide as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll consider that also as part of our announcement. In terms of practical things, like you were saying, Sister Poa, what about our farming business in South Africa, where we want to start a farm, courtesy of Brother Raspala. So we are doing practical things, but at the same time, I suppose people ask that question. I'm not saying Brother Kandini did for the same reason, as if thinking is not practical work. Thinking is one of the hardest jobs. It's one of the hardest things to do. And Brother Coco has a group called Farmers of Thought. And when I first saw the term, I said to Brother Coco, that's what thinking means in my language. Agbedede means to farm thought. So thinking is like farming in my language. That's what it means in my language. And we all know that farming is very hard when you are doing with hoe and cutlass. Anyway, we've come to the end of today's session. Brother Kandini, we've run out of time. Put your question in the chat and we can answer. But I will contact you because I have your contact in the chat. Brother Pigeon, any announcements? Brother Pigeon, any announcements? Okay, right. Brother Pigeon is not able to. Oh, he is unmuted, but he can't speak.
Can you hear me?
Almost. It's a bit muffled again, but yeah, please proceed. Any announcements?
Thank you. I'm struggling as much as I can with my devices. I've some explained before.
Yeah, we'll sort it out later. Yeah. Any announcements?
We actually do just record our services, our sessions on our YouTube channel as an instrument of education to be part of what you do. Now we are having a Saturday session that I'll check. We have actually still discussing. We have come up with a draft schedule for the entire year, annual plan. That's what we used last year. And we are still taking input maybe to discuss it, but we have already topics for the entire year. and we'll be going as per those topics, and we'll be requesting members in our midst who might be interested to speak to any topic to prepare in advance, because we expect and we believe probably by the end of the year, at least all of us might present on a topic, because we are having over 50 topics. So that's what plan we are having, and we'll share that in advance. Probably for the topic of Saturday, I'll share it in advance. But I come just that I'm not having it on my front, but I know we'll be able to share it. If you have it, probably you can also remind me about it. But we are going to share the topic of Saturday, and our topics are around unification, liberation, and development of Africa. So expect that. The recordings are always available. We have discussed how we can advance them better. So I'll also share the recordings, and when you share, please help us also to share out the recordings as we have agreed. And finally, we are having our Monday sessions. Some of us have not becoming part of it on the book reading and review, and we're having our Saturday session, and this session will continue on next Thursday from where we've left. So that's what I'd like to share for now. There's a discussion around Swahili classes coming back again, but we will communicate that as a collaborative mechanism as we move along. But that's what I can share for now. Thank you, and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The topic for Saturday, as you requested, is the development beyond nation states. That's the topic. Development beyond nation states. Okay, thank you very much. So, brothers and sisters, the time is 8:05. That's the end of our session. I'm going to stop the recording now.